The FDA is planning to ban the sale of flavored e-cigarette cartridges at gas stations and convenience stores. The FDA decided to do something after seeing an alarming increase in the number of young people who are vaping. It says the fruity flavors are simply a way to entice children and teenagers into vaping and then getting hooked. The official announcement on the ban is expected to come next week. Vaping products will still be available at tobacco and vape shops. In September, the FDA launched a campaign to try to keep teens from vaping. An FDA survey shows 10.7 million young people between the ages of 12 and 17 admit they vape or would be open to trying it, but the CDC numbers are actually much higher than that. In a 2017 survey, over 2 million middle school and high school students said they vape. Given the numbers, the commissioner of the FDA is calling vaping an epidemic